Hello and welcome to Darts Now, and we're here in Bolton at Darts Corner, the UK's biggest online darts superstore, to find my perfect dart with former PDC Pro Andy Cornwall. For the past sort of 2 years, well, I've been playing for 6 years in total, I've been thrown with the dart. That's probably not right for me, because let's be honest, we all just pick up a dart of a player who we like and just throw it, and we don't really know what we're looking for. So I'm going to have a bit of a lesson with the former PDC Pro Andy Cornwall to find what it is that makes a perfect dart for you, tailor it to me, find out how it flies in the air, how it lands in the board, to see if I can maybe begin my project littler and find the perfect dart for me. Now come on, let's have a look and try and get those 100 averages by next year's Worlds. In this winter wonderland, I'm not going to slip.
Right, Connor, let's get going. So, welcome to Precision.
Thank you.
And just to give you an idea of what the fitting's going to be. So, I am looking for three things. How the dart comes out of your hand,
Yep.
how it flies through the air, we want it flying almost like an aeroplane, and how it lands in the board. We want a nice angle into the board.
Yep.
If we can achieve those three things on a consistent basis, then that's what today's all about. So, I'm going to start off with sort of 10, I'll call them basic barrels, but they've all got different things about them. Some are front weighted, some are back weighted, some are center, heavy, light, short, fat, etc, etc. From that, I'll be able to gauge what sort of area we're going to be looking in. And then we've got lots and lots of other ranges within that range, if that makes sense. Once I get the barrel nailed, I might go up or down a weight, depending on whether that's needed. And then at the end, I'll mess about with the stem and the flight. We use some different systems, Cosmo, L-Style, Condor, etc.
Yeah.
Or we may use the standard nylon that they come with, and we'll use different lengths, and we may even use different flight shapes. So there's lots and lots to do, but it actually doesn't take as long as you actually think, because I've done lots of these now. So I know what we're doing, and I'll kind of pick up from your throw. People tend to have two types of throw. Either you're quite wristy, so you're kind of releasing from the back, or you're quite arm. So and the balance of the barrel affects, you know, whichever style you are. Having had a quick look at your throw there, I can see you're more an arm thrower. But I can also see those darts that you've got in your hand aren't going to be right for you. So I'm glad they're yours.
Don't keep changing darts.
So they're going in the cupboard when you get home, and we'll get started. So I'll only ask you to throw sort of 3 or 6 with each.
Yeah.
If you can concentrate on the 20s each time, yeah? And then just give me back and we'll move on to the next one. Some you'll only need to throw 3. Some, if I'm a little bit interested, we might throw sort of 9 or 12.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get going. I'll just get these standard ones out of the box
Pop
here.
these in dustbin.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to start off with this one. So just to give you, a brief idea of what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give you a straight barrel to start with, and then I'm going to give you a straight barrel that's got lots of grip. So just to compare the two, and all the time, I might not always be talking to you, but all the time in my head, I'm narrowing down the 1,000 sets of mission darts. You know, it's narrowing it down all the time.
Which weight are these ones?
So these are 24, but at this stage, I'm not even worried about any of the weight. I'm just worried about how that barrel's going to work for your grip. One thing I will ask you, if you could just take a grip of one so I could see whereabouts your thumb is. And as we're right in the middle, that leaves you open to virtually any dart.
Perfect.
So if you grip it right at the back, then we can't go for short barrels because you'd be gripping on the stem. So because you're in the middle, you're open to everything. Let's get going.
Can I just say I'm throwing these absolute trotters? I just want to get the excuses out there.
You got your snow boots on, right? Okay.
Do you want me to stay on the 20s even when it's
yeah, if you can, It's just, I'm just looking at how the dart's flying, so.
Oh.
And like I say, don't worry at all where they go.
Yeah.
At this stage, it really doesn't matter. So I can instantly see there, even just between those two, that's got loads of grip, doesn't suit you because you're an arm thrower. Now, if you're a wrist thrower, you need the grip to release off your thumb. You don't need that because you throw with your powers comes from your arm.
Yeah.
So I almost knew before I give you them that the first one was going to be better, and it was. They were kind of moving about.
See, I wouldn't have even thought of that. Gordon. It just shows you, isn't it? That
I
5
know.
minutes when someone knows what they're talking about.
It is.
Can open your eyes.
It really is. It's a minefield. There's thousands of darts out there now, and the chance of you buying one online or whatever and it being the correct one for you is probably about 1 in a million. So.
Oh, these are a funky set.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and that kind of just accentuates what I've just said. I've given you a barrel there with very little grip on it at all. It's almost like a 1 grip level, but yeah, you've scored 81 or whatever it was.
Yeah, you know what? It felt fine. I mean, normally I always thought I quite need a barrel with a lot of grip, but that actually did.
It's one of the things that people come through the door and say, I've got to have a barrel with grip on it. I've always had barrels with grip. And then they walk away with something like this and proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
2 treble 20s there in 2 throws. They're both thrown through the air really nice. So they now, I'll take them off you, they go to one side. And now I'm kind of thinking there are some characteristics there that I like. The fact it's got very little grip on it, it's tapered at the front. So that's now in my mind.
I mean, what I liked about those is I felt those kicked up just a little bit more, which I've always sort of preferred, of that angle of entry.
Prefer it kicking up.
Yeah.
And again, once we get to the stem and flight, even if we get a dart that isn't kicking up like you want it to, we can adjust that by using a different length stem or different flight or whatever. So this one's a little bit shorter. I'll just see how this one goes.
Oh, they are short.
Yeah, they are. As long as we're still gripping it on the barrel, it's okay. Yeah, now that's really interesting. So that is a centre weighted, which is exactly where you grip it.
Yeah.
So my initial thoughts were centre weight is going to be the way to go. It doesn't always work out like that, but what's happening there is the dart is going up from your release, but then the weight's taking over and pulling it back in at a lovely angle.
Yeah.
So again,
I mean, I've always felt a shorter barrel would be better.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started out, I threw with a longer barrel, and I always found it hit my glasses because I pull it up right to the eye.
yeah,
So
yeah. So it was either get a shorter barrel or get contact lenses, and you went for the shorter barrel.
I did actually try contact lenses first, and they went in the bin. I couldn't get used to them.
Brilliant. Yeah, so I can see straight away this kind of long straight barrel, evenly weighted, is going to be no good for you whatsoever.
Didn't even get 3 darts before it
No,
got shut down.
no, yeah, the first 2 was enough.
Oh, I like look at these ones.
So this is a Suzanne Smith dart. Very similar to the kind of old Phil Taylor. Lots and lots of weight in the middle. So I'll let you have a few more with that one.
I do like that grip pattern there because it is right where the thumb is. I'm also loving the angle of entry.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Right, I want to try something a bit crazy now, where I load all the weight up the front.
Yeah.
Let's just see how that one goes. Now that's interesting. That is working as well. We're getting a phenomenal entry there, so I definitely want to see a few more darts with these. Yeah, again, so because of the way you're throwing it with your arm, the dart's flying nicely, but then as it's reaching the board, the weight's taking over and pulling it into that angle, which is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to leave rear weighted alone. We're going to look at front weighted and centre weighted, slightly shorter. We don't want any javelins for you, definitely not. So slightly shorter. That gives us lots of options. So that's kind of stage one. That's stage one. Give me an idea of what's going on. I've got that now. So now let's look at some other things with those characteristics, yeah? Okay, now So this is where it's interesting.
Yeah.
Results are good with those, but I'm really not happy with the flight. So if I was to kind of put that on a slow-mo, we're getting a lot of movement.
Yeah.
That's not going to be consistent for you. So again, this is where if you pick them up in a shop and throw them, you go, oh yeah, I'll have a set of these. But in the long run, it's not going to be the dart for you.
Yeah.
So although you might go, hang on a minute, I've just did a ton and something else, they're going back in the box.
They weren't as consistent as
No.
I'd liked.
So let's try something again along the kind of shorter weight front to middle. Let's see how we go with that.
That was always liable to happen there.
Yeah, and you can soon fix that. We could just rough the points up. But
I just think it was because I pretty much walled it, didn't I?
yeah. Yeah, so we're getting actually really good results with that one. That one's definitely going in my stay category. And we'll cut the ones that I'm kind of putting to one side, we'll come back to them and revisit them in a while. Yeah, and you'll notice now that now we've gone to stage 2, you're kind of getting decent results with each one because we're looking.
Feel it definitely,
we're looking around an area now.
Even when they're not going where I want them to, I don't feel like they're bad misses. You know, I feel like I've got control of the dart.
Yeah, and they're flying well. So let's have another 3 of those. Yeah, okay. So they're decent, but they're not good enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to discount them. I just want you to try this one. Got a feeling it'll be a bit too grippy for you, but.
Oh, the old Ryan Joyce.
Yeah, Ryan Joyce's. We'll just give them a go.
Oh, they are grippy, aren't they?
Really grippy. They don't look it on a photo, but they're super grippy, yeah. Yeah, and I kind of thought we're going to get the dart flattening out. We've gone a bit longer barrel, a bit more balance with the weight. It's just not going to work for you.
I noticed a bit of fishtailing, especially in the first one.
Yeah. Now then, where's my other crypt?
Very nice looking.
Let's go to this one. So this is an interesting one. This is another crypt which you tried a minute ago. Now where you're gripping that, there's very little grip. Let's just see what happens with this.
I think
tiny bit slippy in your hand, that. Yeah. So whilst the balance is there for you, I've literally given you a 0 grip there, because where you're holding that, it's completely flat. So, you know, we do need some grip, just very little. Right, there's one more I want to try here. And this is interesting. It's got a scallop on the back, but you're actually not going to hold it there. You're going to hold it more in the middle. Okay, now what I can see with that one is because the weight is in the centre, it was struggling. It's struggling to pull in. It's almost, watching it, it's right at the last minute it's pulling into the board. So if you get a day where you're just throwing it slightly harder than normal, that's not going to work. It's going to be landing flat all day long.
I felt like with these ones as well, especially when I pulled the first side up, because of the scallop at the back, I almost have to readjust because the finger doesn't really go where I expect it to.
No, it's not sitting in your hand right, is it? So the good news is now I've got 4 completely different darts, albeit they've got similar characteristics that we can now revisit and then start tweaking.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Take those off you. So I'm going to go back to the octanes first. These with the tapered nose. Let's have another 3 with those. Yeah, and another 3, please. Right, so I'm loving everything about those darts.
Yeah.
However, we're not quite getting the consistency that I'm looking for, and I think it's the weight. So those are 21.
They do
now,
feel a bit light, yeah.
Now they come in 23 and 25 anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to discount them right now. I'm just going to go, if we revisit them, we'll have a look at a slightly heavier version of the same dart, if that makes sense. 21 is a tough dart. You know, I wouldn't say to people, unless you're sort of playing pro standard, going that light is it does work occasionally for people, but I tend to look around the sort of 22 to 24 mark. So let's go back to this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, sorry, I can't fix your arm as well, Connor. I can only fix the darts. If you're going to
So
throw a flyer like that for me.
Tell you what, if you could fix me, then you'd be getting a lot more money out of it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. They're not as good second time round, and that's why we do this. The balance is right, it's just not coming out of your hand right. So we'll just give it 3 more to be sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's some positives there, but I'm just not feeling it overall.
I feel like I'm not gripping it the same every time.
Yeah.
I always blame the equipment.
Oh, absolutely. Gotta do, gotta have an excuse. See, that's a completely different flight and everything to that last one. That's really nice. So what we get is we get a shallower flight. That's coming out of your arm sort of like this. Whereas the other was, you know, there's getting a bit high. This has got a really shallow arc. I feel you could kind of, you know, when you need to be aggressive and you put one on the wire and you think, oh, I just need to give it a bit more. That'll hold its line because the balance on that is just perfect for your throw.
I think that's where the flies come time a lot, where you just try and put a little bit more on than it.
Yeah. Yeah, loving how that. All 3 things I'm looking for are good on there. That was good.
You know what? In my head,
maybe that's because that one's got a different colour flighting. So we'll get some matching flights in that in a minute. That's what it was.
And then shanked it into treble 9. Yeah. All of these are coming out of the edit. Stick with the 60s.
They're in the outtakes.
You know, I don't want to make an excuse. I'm going to make an excuse.
Go for it.
The purple on that, when I pull it back to my eye, is so much more visible.
The flight?
Than the other darts.
Yeah, yeah.
It actually made a difference. Literally got every excuse in the book. I've got 1,001 excuses. Blaming the colour of the flight.
I do like this dart. I'm just concerned. I think there's too much grip on it. Occasionally it's just coming out of your hand slow and it's pulling it down the board. I know you like it. I know you like the fact you go to the same place every time, but I'm not here to get something that you like. I'm here to get something that works. So I'm not convinced by that at all anymore. No, I'm not. So what we're going to do now is we'll just have a short break for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
I'm going to grab the first set, you know, this one that was flying really nice, the Octane.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab it in a slightly heavier weight for you.
Are those 21 there?
So they're 21, and the other one that's flying well, the Chiron's are 25. So we've got quite a big difference there. So if we can go a little bit heavier in this, If that doesn't work, we'll go a bit lighter in this, yeah? So I'll just grab you a heavier set of those. In fact, you can keep throwing that with those 21s, and then you'll notice the difference when I grab some heavier ones. So I'll just find out what they are. Front taper.
You can always hit 555 when you don't need it. I don't think I've ever thrown with 21 grams. I used to throw with 26 for a couple of years, so it's really heavy.
Swap them for these now. So it's the same dart, 23 gram. Okay. And let's just see if we get a bit more consistency without losing the flight.
I mean, irrespective of where they went, they already feel more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're not having to force it. Like I say, you're an arm thrower, so you know you don't throw it particularly hard, and that's just that little bit of extra weight is definitely going to help. It's still a head-to-head between the two, to be fair, but you keep throwing those for a sec.
Oh!
Did we get one?
Nearly. That's a millimetre. I don't know how good you can. That's a millimetre. Look at that. I put half an hour with him, two throws with these, and look at that.
Yeah, and that was the one time I turned round, so maybe the pressure was off because I wasn't watching you. I don't know. Let's see if we can do it again. Yeah, so,
to be fair,
they're feeling good, aren't they? Right, now we've got to pit them head to head with the other ones that I like for you. So let's go to these now, and these are either going to feel instantly like, oh yeah, this is an old friend, or they're going to feel like, oh no, that's just not what I'm looking for at all now. So let's just see how these go.
It's, you know what, it's an interesting one because I feel like I've got a little bit more control when they fly, but not when I grip them. Like when I'm transitioning from one hand to the other.
Okay.
Which I guess means I'm not gripping it exactly the same. I think it's because it was the same with the other ones with the scallop and the back of the dart, because it maybe thins out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, you're just finding your feet, aren't you, really, with where your hand needs to sit on the dart.
But saying that angle of entry...
It's phenomenal, isn't it? I mean, I didn't want to say when you've just hit a 140 and whatever else with them others, but the minute you started throwing again, I just love everything about them. They just go in... The flight is phenomenal. You know, I think we're working with them. I really do.
Yeah.
I just do. I just think there's...
I mean, it's a slightly bigger barrel, but I'm used to that.
Yeah. And, you know, I could go slightly lighter with them.
Which weight are these?
So they're 25s.
25.
I just don't think we're going to gain anything. I just think the way, I mean, that's if we can just try and follow that, push it through. Okay, we've just gone a little bit high, but nice. Yeah, come on. We're there, aren't we? We're there. And we've not even messed about with the flight and stem yet.
No.
So things are going to get even better. It's going to have to be them. You could quite happily go away with these and practice to your heart's content and do really well, but I think it's got to be them.
I think what will help me, which I'll have to do when I get home, is a little bit of grip on the top of the point.
Yeah.
Because I put my finger on there, so I think that would...
Yeah, so a little bit of sandpaper, you mean? Just rough it up a little bit? Or are you... Oh. We're trying trick shots now. We're doing trick shots. We're going to take the flight out and see if we can throw the dart
without the confidence I've got in the dart. I don't need a flight, I will tell you.
Love it. Yeah, so you were just saying about the point at the front. If there's kind of not enough grip here, I know there are things out there that you can try different points, you can put little cones on there. I'm a fan, as is Gary Anderson, of just roughing that up a little bit there. In fact, you'll see, I think Darryl Gurney does it as well. When you look at his points are just, so if you just roughen that bit up with a bit of sandpaper, it just gives it an edge, you'll be able to feel it. So maybe that might be something, just to make you feel more comfortable. That being said, give it 140s with them as they are.
Doesn't need loads.
No.
That's the only annoying thing.
Yeah, you'd have to switch now. I mean, you're going to have to learn with those darts that you want to be putting the dart in the top of the treble 20 or just above and coming from underneath. Because of the phenomenal angle of entry, you know, if we can get it going somewhere like there, then you're just going to naturally come in underneath it all the time.
Especially with it being a bigger barrel as well.
There's absolutely.
There's a lot to aim at. I know a lot of people like a thin dart, just say it's more dart in the treble.
Yeah.
But I've always preferred a bigger barrel. There's just more to hit.
There's plenty of people out there using bigger barrels now that hit plenty of 180s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Ryan Searle.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect example, isn't it?
You know, it reminds me back in the day of Andy Hamilton. He always used to pitch his darts right up. They were quite thick barrels, and he put them in the top of the treble and then come in underneath. And Andy hit plenty of 180s. So. Right, so what I want to do now, if you could just unscrew those stems for me, I want to try some different systems now and some different lengths. So I'm going to start off with Cosmo, which is the Fit Flight Air system. So this is super light, okay? And all these will affect, I'm a big fan of these molded systems. At the end of the day, the flight stays perfect every time. Yeah. So what's going to happen with, in fact, I'll just swap those over. The Condors is these are very, very light. So the different weights in these systems will affect how the dart, well, how it flies and how it lands into the board. It's not going to affect how it comes out of your hand, but it will affect the other two things. So if you could pop those in for me, we'll start off with the Cosmo.
Never used Cosmo before.
I've just got a feeling. Actually, let's try this one. Yeah, I think that is the extra short. I don't want to go extra short, I just want to go short. So that's the one that we want.
Which one?
Yeah,
this one.
So that one's going in. And that one.
I'm assuming there's a lot less chance to Robin Hood these ones as well.
Yeah, yeah. I can't even remember having seen that happen, to be fair. That's the one I want.
What odds are we getting on that happening now?
Well, yeah, I'll be impressed if you manage it. Right, let's pop those in.
I'm just going to switch to the 18.
Absolutely, that's fine. Nice.
I do absolutely hate the 18 segment as well. Just another excuse out there. Just before I throw.
Okay, that's a 3 more. Right, okay, if you just want to unscrew those for me, and I want to put in the Condor axe.
I think I've thrown with these
before. So another moulded system, slightly heavier, slightly different balance, which will affect it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I only got these actually a couple of weeks ago for the first time. But I'm a tinkerer, so...
Ah, so you've been trying all sorts.
Yeah. Good or bad, who knows?
well,
I mean,
after
I
today, you sorted.
I did that and I switched to those ones that I came in with, so it's not always good.
So what you're going to find as we go through these 3 systems, they're going to make you be a little bit more aggressive with your throw.
Yeah.
Because they're a tiny bit heavier, there's a tiny bit more air resistance. We're talking fractions, but it'll hopefully just help you be more positive with your throw.
I mean, I think I prefer these ones. I mean,
Yeah.
I know the first one was a bit of a fly, but that's because of my shoulder. It just sort of did something it weren't supposed to do.
And again.
What's your opinion on longer and shorter points?
I'm glad you asked that question. So I really hate removing points to put different points into darts.
Yeah?
At the end of the day...
Ignore my ones that I
Yeah, no, at the end of the... It's just my own personal opinion. At the end of the day, the dart has been made on a machine, in a factory, to a specification. The minute you start pulling it apart and putting things in yourself, it's very difficult to replicate that level of precision. So I've always been a believer in using the point that comes in the dart. I see reasons why you might want a longer point, but for me, if you're using a longer point to make the dart land differently, I can do that with the stem and the flight. So I don't need to mess about with the point. Again, I understand people might want some finger grip on the point, in which case then we'll just pause there for 180. We were close. We were close.
See, this is millimetres.
Then again, you can rough up the point, and that'll give you, that'll give you somewhere to hold on it. So it's just my own personal opinion. I've never changed points in my darts that didn't come in there.
I mean, I did it for the first time a few weeks ago, and one of the issues that I found is I couldn't actually get the points to be the exact same length.
Yeah.
Which was just a nightmare.
Yeah, it is.
It's tearing my hair out.
Okay, so those have been flying lovely, and I want to try the L-Star, which is just a little bit thicker again. So if we can take them out and pop these ones in, just check the similar size. Yeah, perfect.
Always wanted to try these, never got round to it.
Yeah, so they all offer different things, these systems, and again, it's not a case of just pick some up off the shelf. They all do different things.
Flight's a little bit smaller, isn't it, I think?
Tiny fraction, but not enough really that's going to make massive amounts of difference. It is slightly heavier, so it's going to fly different. Interesting. So I'm not going to tell you what my initial thoughts are. I want you to hit throw a few more first, and let's have a good look.
Champagne breakfast.
Yep.
I was aiming for that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just going to come and have a look
Wasn't
from the
aiming for
back.
that.
Okay, so there's a lot of positives here.
Yeah.
And I need to ask you really, do you feel like you're having to push that a bit harder or not? Is it feeling more difficult than the previous one? I know it's only fractions. We're getting a slightly different angle of entry, which I'm not unhappy about. That's okay. I just want to kind of get your feeling. I would think the Condors would be, because of the weight of them, would just be a little bit easier. And what I don't want to do is get the dart landing low all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to switch to the other one, the Cornwall for a second.
I think if we go back to them, I think you should see a difference.
Yeah, I mean, again, irrespective of where they went, I do feel like these aren't as much effort. I mean, there's not too much in it, but...
That's the key. You're an arm thrower, Connor, so I don't want to have to force you. I'm a wrist thrower, so I can generate lots and lots of speed because I kind of flick my wrist as I'm throwing. I don't want to have to change your natural rhythm of your arm to suit the dart, and that's what a lot of us do. So many people come and go, oh, I've tried this and I've moved along the hockey, I've thrown it harder, I've gripped it different.
Again,
it was all because the dart's not right. It's not the person. The dart's not right for you. So let's stop doing all that and let's make things easier. And if the dart just feels naturally coming out of your hand, you're going to naturally play better. So
yeah, I mean, you asked me how long I've been playing for, since 2017. You asked me how many different throws and grips and whatever I've had, and I can't even. It's triple figures. You see that first time, you get excited.
Yeah, you do.
You know what? It's almost a hindrance because you've more pressure because you know you should be following it. Then it goes in the pipe.
I can't fix the arm. I haven't got any arms in my box set, only darts. You're going to have to do the hard work, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I do think these ones, for me, they just feel better than the L style.
Good. They look great. I'm going to try one more thing for you, and that's the Condor, but in a slightly smaller flight. That's the zero stress that you're putting in now. That's the Condor Axe that you've had in, but this flight's just slightly smaller. So. Well, that wasn't lucky. That is a 140 on the floor, isn't it?
We count it. We count it.
We'll put it down as one. If it was a soft tip board, it would have registered that.
One thing I've never thrown on a soft tip board.
I don't think it's coming to the UK anytime soon.
No, I can't see it ever gaining traction. I mean, if it was ever good, it was going to be lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with the American market in steel tip.
Exactly.
Picking up. I do feel that, again, regardless of where they're going, there's not as many going low.
No. So just a slightly smaller flight. Ooh. Oh, that was unlucky, wasn't it? I think you fancied that for a treble. I did as well.
Half
Stood
a
behind you. I fancied that as a treble.
That landed in a different postcode to where it hit.
Mm.
See, what's interesting about... I feel like I've got a lot more ones than fives than what I normally do. Normally, if I drift, it's drifted just into the left.
Okay.
Make of that what you want.
Like that one.
Yeah.
Right, let's go back to these. Let's go back to that one. I'll get rid of these.
I feel like with those ones, I don't know, the same length, are they?
Yeah.
They seem to hit my glasses a lot more. You know what? I'm going to say it now.
Well, you don't have to have them in green, so it might be that.
No, that one kept hitting.
Oh, that one did.
Lens, yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, they are square at the top, so there is a little bit more. That's possible, but
if I could see, I'd be world champion. Just saying.
We'll book him in for that laser surgery then, if he's going to be world champion. Yeah, so one thing I noticed about these, of the two, especially from looking behind, they're not going in, they're going in straighter. There's not as much angle on there. I mean, that's just a perfect dart. You've just pulled that a touch, but yeah, that was lovely. Third one was unlucky not to be a treble. They're going much straighter. The other one was not quite as good. So I think we're pretty much there with these now. And at the end of the day, you're 10 minutes into using them. When you've had a good couple of hours and a good couple of days with them, things are going to feel even better. I'm sure the grip's now starting to feel normal almost.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider it's so different to what I came in with as well, that made the adjustment is huge.
We should perhaps have a look at that, and we'll put them side by side. And what's really interesting is the level of grip on here.
Oh, you know, when I was at the World Championship doing the media, Mark Webster had a throw with them.
Let's just have a look.
And he just said he couldn't get them out of his hand, they were that grippy.
Yeah, so we've moved the weight to the middle, shorter barrel, slightly shorter stem flight, but not a lot. But the difference in the two there, that is chalk and cheese, so that's really good. All right, you keep going.
That's a cap it off. I've even put my own points in as well. Just to put the cherry on top of the cake. I mean, I came in with the darts 101 of what not to do. Half an hour's changed all that.
Yeah, no, that's flying absolutely perfect. All three things there. When you're releasing that properly, coming out of your hand, the flight and the angle.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think when the dart's not doing what I want it to do, I know why it's to do with it. I can feel it in the throw. It's not to do with the dart.
Trying a little bull to finish there.
I did go for that one.
Right, I think we're good. We'll sort out the colour on those for you. I'll get you a new set of darts. We've got the deals to go through on the day, which are exclusive deals that you get for coming. I'm going to sort out your Mission Precision shirt, which you can only get for coming. So you've got one of them coming as well. Sort all that out now. But happy with those? Good to go?
Happy with them.
Good,
perfect.
Man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, there we are. I've completed my lesson with Andy Cornwall to find my perfect dart. Out with the old and in with the new ones, and you can see just by looking at these darts, I mean, they're such a different dart. The problem is if you just pick up any dart and start throwing, you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know how they fly and why it flies that certain way. Literally half an hour with Andy Cornwall, and I know my perfect dart, why it's my perfect dart, what I need to look for in the dart, and these, I mean, I'll show you in another video, but these are flying so well. Just the angle of entry in the board, and I said it in there, and I'll repeat the same thing no matter if you've been throwing for 20 years, 2 years, 2 months, whatever. If you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know what you're throwing, you can't ever improve your consistency. So for all those Project Littlers out there, make sure you come down here, Andy Cornwall, the link will be in the description, to find your perfect dart. Darts Corner is the largest UK online darts superstore. So many options to try. I think I must have tried about 15, 20, 25 sets of darts, different variations within those sets of darts as well. And it's such a helpful experience. So get down here in Bolton, Darts Corner, and find your perfect darts.